Hey, what's up guys? Kevin Cage here with another crypto update. In today's video, we're going to dive into Casper. Alrighty, hope everybody's having an awesome day and be sure to stick around until the end where we'll go over the Casper price chart. And also just wanted to share that I'm on day 68 of 75 hard, so we are in the final stretch. So let's speed through this video. I am pretty tired, but there's a bunch of good information to share, so let's get into it. So let's go over this thread, but share some additional information and what exactly it means knowing that $7 to $10 billion in aggregate value will be minted as NFTs on Casper's public network. So by minting patents or intellectual property and licenses as NFTs on Casper, patent holders are able to securely verify, store, trade, and license their patents with greater transparency and ultimately at lower costs than in traditional patent markets. So we're going to be talking about the cost savings, hundreds of millions of dollars, by utilizing a public chain like Casper. So this was at Paris Blockchain Week just a couple weeks ago, winning the award for #1 enterprise blockchain project of the year. And you can learn more at Hyperledger Foundation, which Casper is a member of. And I highly recommend watching this video if you have time. We have the president of IPWE, we have the Casper CTO, and we also have Daniela of the Hyperledger and Linux Foundation, announcing the world's largest enterprise blockchain deployment. And once again, IPWE is massive. This is not some small mom and pop shop. We'll talk about how much money is actually on their platform, companies including Nike, Toshiba, a lot of companies that we know and use today with billions of dollars of patents. And this is representing the largest enterprise blockchain NFT deployment in history. So remember, they chose Casper for a variety of things. They chose Casper because they're minting on the public network, but remember that Casper is hybrid as well, and also with upgradability to be able to upgrade any patents and the information in metadata. They can help stay regulatory compliant. So it's extremely flexible, and also we'll talk about budgeting. There's so many rich features of Casper specifically for enterprises and governments that we'll talk about. Enterprises that are going to adopt DLT because it's going to happen. It is not if, it is just when. They want predictability and budgeting features. And that's exactly why Casper is launching a budgeting feature for gas fees for predictability. These enterprises are not going to be launching 25 million patents on Ethereum. I like Ethereum, but ETH 2.0 is not a big deal. We haven't seen substantial cost savings. There's going to be a variety of other L1s that I think do very great things in this space. And with Casper, due to predictability and budgeting gas features, these huge enterprises can then accurately forecast. Remember, they are used to fixed costs using different things like Amazon Web Services. They know their fixed costs. They do not want variable costs month after month. They want something where they can easily forecast numbers, don't have to make crazy changes, and they don't have to adapt to using Casper. It plugs right into their existing tech stack. So scrolling down here, remember companies like Nike and Toshiba, and what's really interesting right here is IPWE. Intangible assets account for 90% of the S&P 500 market value. And the S&P 500 market cap is $34 trillion. And what's more interesting that a lot of people don't know is this: patents equal 30% of the S&P 500's value. 30%. So this is unlocking the value for the first time in history for intellectual property. This is basically a new enterprise use case in a brand new market that is going to be tradable and traceable and have an audit trail and be proven. And let's talk about some of the cost savings. And according to IPWE, with current infrastructure right here, causes $1 trillion worth of opportunity to be lost annually in the United States alone. And IPWE has offices in Texas and Paris. So they built an NFT-based chain of custody solution for public patents on Casper's public chain. Now, intellectual property theft costs $225 billion to $600 billion per year. 38.2% of the United States GDP comes from intellectual property intensive industries. And in this video, 10 to 15% of all patents bought and sold are sold by someone that doesn't have the right to do so. So there's a lot of fraud. The average cost of a data breach in the United States is almost $9 million, and intellectual property accounts for 70% of the value of publicly listed corporations. And we can see that China currently dominates all types of IP markets, and China accounts for 46% of all patent filings. But we also have Switzerland, where Casper is based out of, remains the world leader in innovation. And this is apparent in the number of inventions and patents and the support governments and investors extend during the annual exhibition of inventions. And we know Casper Labs joined the World Economic Forum Global Innovators Community as a blockchain and digital assets partner. And the gentleman above had a tweet asking if Casper was suppressed because of the WEF connection, but a variety of assets are connected to the WEF, including EnergyWeb, XRP, a variety on even the Crypto Council, XLM, Hedera, Algo. You could basically list a couple dozen. And the CTO of Casper says not at all. Casper Labs joined the Global Innovators Program to educate governments and enterprises on how to use blockchain tech. Now, one thing I'm doing is on Casper Live, we come up to deploys, and I'm trying to keep tabs and look for any WASM deploys. Now, from what I know, I believe 140 patents have been launched already. And I don't know if that was, a couple months ago or a couple weeks back. But if only 140 patents have been launched, we still have a good 25 million to go. So what would be the fees, and what kind of demand could we see of the Casper token with $7 to $10 billion coming onto Casper network? Now let's do some calculations. So for a typical Casper transfer under the contract type, we have transfer, it is 0.1 Casper, and you can see the cost right there. So 0.004 cents. But when you delegate or undelegate your stake, it is 2.5 Casper, so about 10 cents. Now this is something often misunderstood by a lot of people, so let's go over this. With more adoption of the network and more network usage of most projects, this would lead to increased transaction fees because the token ideally would increase in price. So if Casper's price instead of 4 cents was up 10x at 40 cents, when you undelegate and delegate, instead of it being 10 cents, it would actually be $1 because it's up 10x. So that's an example of how the transaction fees would increase. Now remember, there's a method to the madness because when transaction fees increase, this would be another revenue source for validators because validators need money to actually cover the hardware and overhead costs. So with increased transaction fees, because Casper's price is higher, this could open up the possibility in the future of reducing the inflation rate through a vote. Now this could still be a few years down the road. But at the same time, you don't want transactions to be too cheap, and XRP holders are aware of this, because if transactions are too cheap, many bad actors can flood the network with zero value transactions. In contrast, you want the overall cost of the transaction to be cheap, but more importantly, predictable. And as we shared, enterprises need to budget against it. So with the new Casper gas budgeting feature that is going to be launching, that's going to be huge. These people have a huge background with enterprises and Wall Street and Google and massive companies. They understand the enterprise business sales cycle. They understand their needs. They understand their tech stack. There's a lot of other crypto projects that go after retail use cases, and they see some adoption, but retail is so tiny. We're going to be talking about the difference between retail use cases, which are easy to launch and build hype and make money, but enterprise is the largest market in the world. So if we're assuming 0.1 Casper for a transfer and 2.5 Casper, and remember, they can actually vote and change some of these rates at any time in the future as the network sees adoption and as Casper's price goes up. The validators still want to act in the best interest of the network. So we went over transfers, delegating, and undelegating, but we have the WebAssembly smart contract deploy, the WASM deploy. So keep in mind, we're seeing 2.9 here, we're seeing 6.6. So these are deployments. What is going to be the average deployment cost for these 25 million patents? Each patent has to be minted and have its own WASM deployment. So that's where it gets fun speculating how much Casper would actually be used. 25 million patents are going to be minted, and let's just say, it's 5, maybe it's 10, but let's say it's 5 Casper per patent that's going to be deployed. Right there, that's 125 million Casper. Now, if the WASM deployment was 10 Casper, that's 250 million tokens. So we could be talking a couple percent of the entire supply out the gate. Now, the circulating supply is way smaller than people think. Yes, we have almost 94% in circulation. There's a lot of other projects that have a rough next few years ahead of them. Some of them have 30% or 50%. Each bar's up to 60%. But out of the total supply, almost 75% is locked up and being bonded. Now, all of these transaction fees that we see for Casper during transfers, deployments, etc., they go directly to the validator that helped them process the transaction. So if we're talking 100 million or 250 million Casper are going to be used during this IPV deployment, and we're speculating it's that amount because we don't know the average WASM deployment fee, that could be 1, 2, 3% of the entire Casper supply then going to these validators, and these validators, most likely, in my opinion, are not going to be selling Casper at current price. I think they're in here for the long haul, for decentralization of the network and actual adoption. Because if Casper gets this right, it's going to be life-changing. So we could be talking another couple percent of the entire supply being added to the stake bonded. So 75%, I know it was a little higher before. That could be even more going into the stake bonded, reducing the actual supply being traded on exchanges and dexes. So you're actually reducing the amount of Casper in circulation, which could lead to scarcity. When additional demand comes, of course, price goes up. So it's super interesting, and this is just one single use case. We're not even talking about the Actus standard and financial contracts. Now to go over this thread, the enterprise market is the largest market in the world, yet it's the least penetrated in blockchain. Enterprises are looking for ways to grow revenue, lower cost, increase efficiency, and increase public trust. So we're going to go over Casper being simple, upgradable, and decentralized, and discuss tokenization, ownership rights, financial standards, and the creator economy. By 2030, value drivers could enable cloud to deliver over $3 trillion in EBITDA value across the Forbes Global 2000. And remember, we had Skybridge Capital, a $3.5 billion fund, enter into a strategic partnership with Casper recently, saying if Casper can get just 50 of the Fortune 2000 firms, it will become the industry standard. And last we heard, there were about 45 NDAs. So there's about $3 trillion plus up for grabs. Now, enterprises and governments are massive markets. That is Casper's target market. It is not retail. Casper thinks yield farming and retail use cases are cute. There's going to be a lot more money for tokenization and actual services for governments and huge enterprises. And these are the biggest consumers of technology like cloud, internet, and databases. And with features like programmability, upgradability, security, decentralization, and privacy, Casper Network is simple and optimized for developer adoption. Casper already supports WASM, Rust, Assembly Script, and others that can be compiled into WebAssembly. Now, WebAssembly, why is this important for Casper? Because a lot of these networks are, Ethereum, they originally are forcing a lot of smart contract developers to learn a new coding language. That's not practical. That's like a lot of these enterprise blockchain networks that are building solutions and trying to force enterprises to use it, and they don't even fit with their existing tech stack. Casper's the exact opposite. They built something that is modular, it's easy to use, and they have WebAssembly, which is already in use by 30 million devs. In contrast, Solidity is around 200,000, a fraction of the 30 million. So if we want the crypto asset class to grow, we have to lower the barriers to entry, not just to retail, but to the developers, the real builders that will actually make this asset class what it is. And you can't force enterprises to use something if it's too tricky and confusing and intimidating. So this is opening the door for a variety of engineers to come on in and start building and feel confident with what they're using. As in many articles, Casper's positioned to help bring the next 100 million users to Web3. So today we have an estimated 400 million global crypto users. And I wouldn't really consider them users at scale. It could be mom and dad buying some Dogecoin and just holding it on, Coinbase. What we should be more interested in is dApps being built, because once it's built, the users come. And comparing crypto to the growth of internet users, it's estimated to see 1 billion users this decade. So when you see an asset class basically looking like it's going to double this decade, we're looking at trillions of dollars to enter this market. And I know it seems silly in a bear market or, after 300 days being in a very tight trading range, and we're at a $1 trillion market cap across the board. The all-time high was 3 trillion. I'm a huge believer. We go up to 5 to 8 and 10 trillion plus. We talked about the bonds market, 128 trillion, the global stock market over 100 trillion, commodities 19 trillion, real estate 300 trillion plus, and crypto is 1 trillion, a fraction. We talked about tokenization of these technologies, of financial contracts and bonds. Siemens, a huge company, was tokenizing bonds, and we're talking millions of dollars, I believe in euros. And what's interesting is Siemens and Casper were working together, did a hackathon as well. And it's not much of a stretch for these Fortune 500s because they're tokenizing bonds. JP Morgan is looking at tokenization. The largest banks and organizations are. And remember, IBM partnered with Casper because of their hybrid nature. Yes, you can have some things on the public network, but there's certain information that you cannot share. If you're sharing, medical records, you're going to violate HIPAA. You have to have privacy. And sorry to all Bitcoin maxis, but Bitcoin will not be solving actual problems for enterprise and government customers. Now we know BitGo already has Casper for enterprise infrastructure. They also built the institutional grade wallet for XRP years ago. So hot wallets, qualified custody, institutional staking. So this is a big thing we need to see for other huge players in this space. This is a step in the right direction, but I want to see Fireblocks. Fireblocks is a behemoth. If you can get Fireblocks and then later Coinbase custody and these huge institutional infrastructure providers, it could be massive. And Fireblocks already has HBAR and a variety of others. 1,300 organizations, trading and brokerage, exchanges and lending, banking and payments, Web3 and fintech. Think of Fireblocks as just another bridge to basically open the floodgates for institutional money. So we talked about that, and remember, Casper is going after enterprise adoption and enterprise decentralized finance. That's where the big money is. And they've already been working with massive leasing companies, mortgages, and DeFi apps with lending, all types of features, and more, leveraging tokenization and smart financial contracts. You're going to see this term everywhere. We're going to see other crypto projects copy them. We can see shared by NASDAQ Smart Financial Contracts. And this is from Ralph, the board member at the Casper Association. We talked about Nucleus Finance in previous videos with Actis, the standard, and this is built on Casper. And Actis is 30 plus years old. So I see a lot of guys just saying, oh, ISO this, ISO that. There are so many other standards in the financial system besides ISO 222. Do not get tunnel vision. Actis for standardizing financial contracts is arguably even bigger. And there's only 32 smart contract types for all the financial contracts in the global financial system. And they're already connected to WM Dot and Service, the central authority and data provider for the global financial market. We can see Nucleus Finance and Casper. And talking about tokenization, even the WEF estimated that volumes could reach $24 trillion by 2027. So this is going to be huge. Interoperability is going to be important. I mean, there's collaboration between some of the largest banks, insurance companies, you name it. Tokenized bonds, equities, cash, as we've already talked about. And upgradability is important. Remember, you can actually launch with immutability. If you don't want a smart contract to ever be changed, you can launch it like that. But it does create a hassle if years down the road to stay compliant or update new information because you have a new format. It would be nice to be able to upgrade it. And you can delegate keys and have weighted keys. So it's not just one person that has the right to do it. It would require multiple signatures. So it's a lot safer. It's a lot more secure. So you could have the president of the company, you could have the CTO, you could have the VP all have a key and have to sign off on it. And once, so many people sign off, then it gets upgraded. You could have this within the HR department. You could have this within the supply chain department, anything. So the future is unwritten, and upgradability is going to help businesses adapt to changing business needs and help enterprises stay compliant. And keep in mind that Casper is also working on ZK technology. This is going to be huge, mentioning again, Actis compliant financial contracts. So I was listening to a hedge fund discuss the importance of ZK tech, and there's a variety building with ZK scaling solutions. That could be the next big, bull run. I'm just waiting for utility-based assets or assets with regulatory clarity or working with other types of standards to take off. Because long-term utility is what's going to win. And also during the interview of CZ of Binance with the CTO of Casper, just talking about the enterprise sales cycle is a lot slower. But it's also orders of magnitude larger and stickier than retail use cases. Meaning, once you have an enterprise, a Fortune 50, Fortune 500 customer on your system or on your network, using your network, whether it's IPWE, whether it's IBM, a global European bank, once they have their system on your network, they're most likely going to stay. It's sticky. So if Casper gets this right and gets 50 or 100 of the top Fortune 2000 companies, these companies, what's interesting about this, these companies could stay on the network for a decade, because they don't want the hassle of migrating to another chain and moving all their systems. That means that you could have massive enterprise use cases, DeFi applications on a daily basis transacting Casper and them not wanting to leave. And since Casper is upgradable and modular, it can change with the future as businesses change. Meaning that if Casper gets this right, they can actually retain a huge chunk of enterprise and government volume. Whereas there's other science experiments or retail use cases and certain cryptos, sure, maybe they do a 100x, but if they crash to zero in 2 years, what's the point? I'm looking for projects with sustainability. I see their funding rounds for Casper Labs in the years ahead. They have millions of dollars. They have millions in grant funding. There's 100 applicants and projects launching on Casper this summer. We have the Casper 2.0 upgrade they are building. You can look through their code base or at least what they're allowed to share. And I'm interested in something that's sustainable because if the crypto market goes to 5, 10, $20 trillion in market cap, what do you think an altcoin like Casper can do? So small retail use cases, they get a lot of hype. It's big on TikTok and all these meme coins, but I'm here for the long term. Because if you get an asset that has actual enterprise adoption, which the crypto market has not seen at scale, remember it's the biggest market and is the least penetrated with blockchain, you're going to do very well. And it's most likely there's going to be 5, 10, a couple dozen crypto assets because the future will be multi-chain with huge enterprise and government use cases. We know Casper will be speaking at Consensus, so keep an eye on that. Oh, and also the X Frontier shared this today. So this is the Casper wallet. So if you guys want a tutorial, you can learn more at casperwallet.io. Highly recommend checking out this video so you guys can check this out. It is the new Casper wallet now live on mainnet tutorial. But if we've seen across the board a variety of L1s during a bull run which Casper has never experienced, remember ADA dropped 98%, did not break its all-time high for 1100 days, it crashed under 2 cents. Casper has a very similar chart. Now remember, ADA reached $3. Casper's supply is almost 3 times less than ADA's. So is it possible for Casper to reach $1, $3, $5 someday with the right level of adoption? Yes, absolutely. It's possible, but we still have a lot to prove. I've looked at these structures time and time again. We just have to wait for an actual bull run. Of course, Binance listings would help in additional trade volume, but I think IPW launching these patents is going to be huge. Other enterprises are going to look and say, whoa, Casper Network, the largest enterprise blockchain in history, and that's going to create a domino effect. So I'll be here for the long term, guys. My personal plan for Casper is when it finally wakes up, I'm going to do my best with my trading bag, not my long-term holds. My long-term holds are staying staked for the long term. I'm going to try to stagger out some take profits, buy back during a retrace with the goal of trying to double or triple that trading bag. I could completely get wrecked if Casper keeps going, but that's okay because I have long-term holds. But my plan is for the long term, as we talked about the stickiness of enterprises, is I'm going to have a long-term bag for life, staking. Because if Casper long-term does break out of this trend, creates a new high, or surpasses $1, $2, $5, do you know how much money you could be making staking Casper at 10% per year? It's insane. So overall, not financial advice. What I'm doing is, since we had basically 300 days at these lows to DCA into Casper between 2 cents to 5 cents, I'm sitting on my hands just staking, waiting to make some moves. If we get some huge impulses, I'm going to try to sell some and just do scalps and just buy back lower and just try to improve my position depending on how big the impulse is. I'll be rebalancing some of my alts based off of like a 10% threshold between Casper, HBAR, XRP, and a few others, for anybody that does threshold-based rebalancing. But the only time I'm buying more Casper is if we see another low. Right now, I'm good. The bags are packed. If anything, I have way too much. I'm just a huge believer in this because we've seen HBAR from its low during the bull run do a 60x. And Algo or Algorand did like a 20-25x. If we see any type of move, I mean a 5-10x, I'm just a huge believer we do see adoption for Casper in the future. If you're looking for a meme coin that does 1000x and it could go to 0 the next day, Casper is not for you. If you're a grown adult looking for projects with real fundamentals and real businesses and actual strategies and real apps, I encourage you to check it out. So if Casper ever broke 3 cents again, right there, right there, multiple wicks, I'll buy more and I'm going to try to stack more. I don't know if we see under 3 cents again. That's going to be dependent on Bitcoin. If Bitcoin does in fact retrace to 40K or 60K, we're going to see a nice move in the altcoin market. So I can't say that we're going to see under 3 cents, but if we do, I have a cash bag set on the side that I'm ready to deploy. Right now, 300 plus days of accumulating dollar cost averaging. Now I'm simply waiting for a retracement this year. We have gaps at a variety of levels, as I've already shared. And I think with a Bitcoin retracement, a lot of gaps can be grabbed. Now we do have some lower gaps. I don't know if they get filled. Sometimes I see a liquidity wicks go and close them. But we also have gaps above 12 cents, 16 cents. We have gaps at 43 cents, right around the 702, just like HBAR. So HBAR and Casper both have gaps at 43 cents. Now, do they close those gaps this year? Gee, I hope so, but we will see. And other than that, weekly candle bodies and additional order blocks, I'm just very hopeful long term. We're going to see if we draw some type of fractal like we've seen before with XRP. And also, looking at the Casper market cap, a 4.236 Fibonacci extension to $2.4 billion would take price to about 22 cents. And that level is pretty interesting over the medium term, as you can see 1, 2, and 3 at 22. And also, even comparing Bitcoin, previous fractals of the 2014-2015 cup and handle bear market, where we just steadily rise with minimal corrections. As you can see, the correction isn't like super deep and it was just a steady climb up. Or are we going to be following a previous Bitcoin fractal that it looks like XRP is still following, doing a typical fib from the high to the low and rejecting some key levels? Whereas Casper could be in a type of accumulation down here when Bitcoin was here at the 2019 bottom before a retrace. So of course, we can try to compare the structures in distribution during the sell-off. You can see many similarities. In this case, this was a double bottom. We had another crash, almost like a spring in the accumulation before getting the show on the road, and this was super dragged out. But if you're looking at this, we could also be breaking out at any moment, and we could be in a structure like that. And candle bodies on the 50%, wicks to the 618, almost 702, coming back down below the 236. Let's draw that on Casper. Now this is where it gets super subjective with Casper, so to be conservative, we're going to draw a Fibonacci swing high on the weekly candle bodies, not the wick. And you can see the Bitcoin price chart doing the same thing, this 0.059 fib right there, 1, 2, using it as resistance, then finally breaking through. But we can see Casper's right around that level today, around 420. Now if Bitcoin falls back under 25K, that will suck. It looks like Casper will go back under 4 cents, but I'll try to make the most of it. But hopefully you can see similarities in structures. So would we get some type of retrace up to, whether it's the 702 where there's a gap at 42, 43 cents, wink wink, or would we be just a little lower? Would we just head towards the 236? Would we head up to the 382 near this double top and wicks? Variety of order blocks, and it's hard to say because we don't have tier 1 exchange listings yet. That could be an additional catalyst. And it could also be possible that some of these tier 1 exchanges like Binance are waiting for Casper to reach certain thresholds. Just as Bitcoin did a bit of a retracement that was back under the 236, then took off and went to an all-time high price, could Casper be following a similar type of fractal as Bitcoin, coming up to these levels in this box, coming back under the 236 or the 11.8, and then heading to all-time high? What do you guys think? Or is it just going to be a slow and steady grind, similar to what we saw back here until takeoff? You can see some similarities consolidating around the 236, then flip to resistance. We can see the same thing over here, additional backtest. Overall, super interesting. In a few more things, and we'll call it a day, by the X Frontier, the 25 million grant for accelerating the program for Casper, 100 plus applicants already, infrastructure, gaming products, and DeFi, and projects are going to start launching on top of Casper in Q3. In talking about Casper 2.0's upgrade that's coming, the validators are going to increase from 100 to 250 to increase decentralization. This could also increase the total stake bonded. Remember, Casper's already partnered with Chainlink, working on a Jade NFT platform, partnered with Threefold in Dubai, and BlockV and Smart Media Technologies partnered with Casper a while back to provide NFT solutions for global brands. With Fortune 500 companies, we can see NBA, Vodafone, Axe, we have Ben & Jerry's, and Doritos. Pay close attention to this. But alright guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Big thank you to all that like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one. If you enjoyed this video, I'd greatly appreciate if you could hit the like button, let me know your thoughts down below, and my link tree is linked in the top of this YouTube video description, with all links, crypto resources, and discounts. I'll catch you in the next one.